So I had a friend once tell me that, look, the things I was looking at were things I could change and things I needed to try, right? And so when I was dealing with this situation in the story time, this guy I refer to as Q is a brother to me, and among a lot of things, I think he would he helped me dealing with a lot of things that I will be talking about. Um, I will be leaving names out, but I just wanted to say when I talk about the Godfather and stuff like that, I am referring to this guy named Q that really helped me through this. And so in situations that I didn't really talk about, which I'll talk about and expand on a little bit more once I deep dive and talk about the video, but um, the guy's name is Q. It's in a disclaimer part of the video, so, and he's also in the end card at the very end, which if you want to listen to, you can. And yeah, um, but it's time to talk about a story time. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a story about something that has happened to me in somewhat of a similar detail to what I mentioned. So I talked about this guy named Q that really helped me through the situation, but I'm gonna see if I can talk about it without discriminating by anybody's character, which might be hard and which might not be hard. But I figured I would give it a try. So this is guy named Q. He's an awesome guy. He great friend of mine. I met him a long time ago on Xbox. Anyway, so she found out in May, about the title, which will be about Sierra and Prince. Sierra and Prince were the names of these two babies that this girl was having, and so I love this girl. Puppy love. We'll call it puppy love, right? And I was dealing with this girl, and I did not know how to go on about talking about this girl. Um, so she told me she found it in May. She told me in September or October or August, on my birthday, and I I was in a shock for words, but I was also kind of stressed because I know the toll this takes on people. Um, and that's sad in itself. But I did kind of want to talk about why the February 15th is so important to me rather than not celebrated this year. Because I said I was going to celebrate every year. It happened 2 or 3 years ago, which people were like, 2 or 3 years ago is a long time to deal with this in my way that I had to. So I had to deal with this in various different ways because it was something that I tried to tell people. People looked at me crazy. Okay, so I should start on how this thing began. So, as I told you, she told me in August or September, and I really didn't know. In September and August of 2019, 2020, I I was really in a grind. I was really where I was grinding to make more money and to support like the family of my dreams or something I had been wanting to create my whole life. And so she told me in August or September. Okay, now it seems like it seems the story seems short in a short amount of time, but I'm gonna have to run through it. So I got off the stage. I got off the stage in I think June or May, one of the two. She told me in August or September. She said she wanted to surprise me as a birthday, surprise me about the situation. So she waited a few months to tell me. Which, if this happens to any other guy, I want you to know you're not alone. Sometimes they wait extremely long to tell you, which I completely understand. Um, but I kind of have to reference it. So I saw this post on somebody's Instagram page where they were saying to keep like situations that you're dealing with at home, or keep it in home and don't tell friends. So my problem with that quote and everything is that during September, November, A lot of her friends were telling me I could not speak out about the situation. And that's the hardest thing for me to do because I was struggling mentally and I was also struggling physically because of things that weren't necessarily in my favor, but also uh, I had very few people to vent to. So, as I said before, I had very few people to vent to. So, I ended up, I ended up venting to. I was playing this game with my guy, with one of our friends on Xbox. The guy's name is Q, as I said before. He was so. I gotta explain Q's very important part in this. So I was on the game with Q one day, and he was like, "Yo, that is kind of crazy that she just kind of put that on you and didn't tell you anything, and bro, how are you really feeling?" And so I told him, I said, "Hey, I'm feeling better than I was, but there's a few times I had a breakdown and I had to call, or he called me and stuff like that, and I was just texting him about it, and we was on the game. So, uh, I don't think he knows this, but um, at some point when they were like born or whatever, like when they were coming out February 15th, I was gonna ask him to be the godfather. God forbid it, if anything happened to me, if anything was going to happen to me, these precious people were going. I was gonna ask him to be there for me, right? Because truth be told, I lost a few people because a lot of people, as I said, a lot of people were ringing my ear, my friends, her friends, and they were like, "Hey, you can't post this because this would put her in the bad spotlight." And I was like, "So I'm supposed to suffer?" Because they were like, "If you talk about it, you're punk. Um, guys shouldn't speak out. Guys shouldn't gossip and like this." So I've heard almost every excuse in there, or I've also heard, "Hey, if you spoke out, defamation," and I think that's my thing. So I I didn't know how to go about it without sounding like, "Hey, I feel like I should have the right to express my opinion. I'm pro-choice, so I gave her the choice." Anyway, that's how November went. So December, she hits me up in the beginning of December. She says, "Hey, um, I know I sprung this on you last minute, but I don't know if I'm going to have them or not." Um, which coincidental, she didn't. They're not here, so um, not a not a deadbeat or whatever. Um, so this was there was a girl best friend I had. Um, I had, I had. Um, we don't talk as much anymore, so I'm use the word had if we're still cool, we're still cool. She thought she was pregnant. She had a pregnancy scare, and she thought she was pregnant, and so I was scared and worried about them too because I didn't know how they felt. I didn't know how they felt about it, and truth be told, I was younger. She would all three people in the party were younger, and I was stressing out because I'm a very caring person, extremely caring person. I think my heart is too big. I'm a very caring person, so I was helping this one girl out. I thought she was pregnant. One girl that knew she was, and they didn't. I don't. They didn't necessarily like each other. I don't. I assume they don't. I didn't really ask any of them, but they just were hostile towards each other. So that seems that's why I'm saying it that way. Um. So this happens, and so as any guy goes, they think, "Oh, my life is over," or "I gotta hustle harder." And so I hustled harder because in my mind, um, that's no reason to slack off, and um, there's no reason to not care. So I put that aside. She called me December. called me later December, pulled me aside, and said, "Hey, I'm not having them." She told me after the procedure, which that's completely her choice. I don't necessarily care, but during this time, she couldn't tell me who um the father was. So she would one day tell me it was me, then another day tell me it was somebody else, and I'm very so that's what happened. And so the end of December, I didn't really know how to handle it when she told me, okay, she told me after the procedure. And so I was still kind of heartbroken trying to fix the things about me that I thought was the reason why it didn't happen. So it didn't happen. I don't know. It didn't happen. And so things just kind of went south because I could not explain for the love of me why it didn't become a thing. Um, so the other girl thought she was pregnant, and she thought she was pregnant up till February, and just January was like the grieving thing for me. So I also took the next year and a half to really focus on myself, and then the second year after, I said I'm gonna set myself up for therapy and really work on myself, less gaming, less everything, and more working and more putting myself on a grind, which I ended up doing. But that isn't necessarily the best way to do it. And I think that's kind of my fault. They're like, hey, so you didn't tell anybody, but you had breakdowns and stuff like this. And yeah, truth be told, yeah, I had a lot of breakdowns. Just because mentally I thought I was good, and then there would come a situation where it wouldn't. So, example, when says girl gets missing on Christmas Eve while I was shopping for her gifts and going to work. Things happen there that I can't really discuss. But overall, this is kind of like the shortest way I'm gonna explain my story time without going into full and mass detail about it. But I think there are a few things I add to it to the original video, so we'll see.